What's up, Cave Dwellers? I'm Gabe, the Flash.
I'm Brendan, Rickamus.
And I'm Droolpool, aka Marty. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Gabe's Cave. The original OG is right here together again. It's been a long time since we've all been together on one show.
Definitely.
Started back in the original cave, and today we got a special guest with us. He's Santa Claus, I think. Everybody wave Santa Claus, and all you kids be nice, because otherwise this Santa Claus might give you a sack of coal. Actually, it's our special guest today is the owner of Four Leaf Comics, Chris Hayes. How you doing, Chris?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Well, I'll be better if we take these off.
Okay, we can do that.
Yeah.
It was a good intro.
Well, Chris, thank you for being on the show with us today. And I know we've had some, technical difficulties and some weather difficulties and different things like that. But we do definitely appreciate you taking out the time and joining us today. It's not your first interview with us. We've had an interview with you before at one of the at Cowtown, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that your Cowtown's your Comic-Con that you hold every year, correct? Or a couple times a year?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
We actually have one coming up pretty soon, don't we?
Yeah, June 19th and 20th, same place. We've got a lot of guests. We announced another big one yesterday. I don't know if you guys saw that, but we announced Miko Suyan's coming in from the Philippines for this one. So he's going to be sitting in a big time collectibles booth, but he's a pretty big name. So we've got some big names coming in for this show.
That's exciting because a lot of shows are still being canceled. And seems like Texas just keeps rolling on. They don't really care.
No, apparently, we've got snow and ice covering the whole state. It's crazy. I saw a feed this morning. Somebody's stuck right now it's not a bad place to be stuck. You're down in Galveston, but if you noticed, the beaches are covered in snow. I mean, this is the first time the whole state is covered in snow and ice. We don't care. We just keep going around here. So I don't see anything happening unless the city or county shuts down because of COVID. Then that's the only thing that'll hold us from not having the con. Same thing last October, and you guys are there, so you saw people were ready to get out of the house. People were ready to get back to cons, and I was nervous. I knew we'd have the vendors. The vendors sold out because we sold out, and we're pretty close to selling out of this one already. We've already opened up the lobby for booths as well. But, as kind of promoting the show, you always get nervous that the customers come in, the people come in. And the minute, the doors opened at 10, they were already lined up. And they just kept coming. That Saturday, they just kept coming, which is a good thing to see. And you guys notice, we charged $5 to get in the door last year. So that way, if you got a family of 4 or 5, you can get in, enjoy yourself. You're not spending an arm and a leg at the door, and then you're not able to spend anything at the vendors tables. So I'm wanting to change that by running this kind of con. We want to make it different. It's a true comic con. You got local artists, you got artists coming in from out of town. We want to make it enjoyable for everybody and make it a true comic con. You're not going to walk into this thing and see arts and crafts. It's not a craft show that you'll find at your local high school. It's a true comic con. You want to come in, you want to search back issues. You're a comic collector. You're going to find statues, you're going to find toys. You guys are there set up, did a wonderful job, so I appreciate that. That was a lot of fun having you guys out there interviewing all the artists. You guys do a good thing for helping support people out there. Some of the smaller artists that are up and coming, we try to support them as well. So if you go look at our guest list on our website, you'll see a whole slew of guys. I'm going to open up an anime room this year, working with another guy. So we've got Stephanie's coming back, Vic's coming back, and then we've also got about 3 or 4 big names in the anime community I haven't announced yet that are going to be coming in as well. So my goal is to make this thing bigger every year, keep it at the same facility, and we're kind of capped on space, but you keep it, you bring in some bigger names each year, and it gives people something to look forward to. We got a lot of great feedback last year on it, and we just hope it grows.
Did you see at the show that we were at a few weeks back, there was a Pokemon artist sitting out in the lobby across from Rob and them. I don't know if you've seen that guy or not, but he was a phenomenal artist. I got his card and everything. I can't remember his name right offhand because I wasn't thinking about talking, wasn't planning on talking about him, but he might be an artist that you might want at the show too. I think he's a really good up and coming artist myself.
Yeah, if you got his card, send it to me. I have no problem reaching out. We're going to have an anime room, so if these guys want to come in and set up, then we'd love to have them.
He said he done really well at the show, so that was a card show.
It's 6,000 people walking through that show.
It was crazy. It was crazy.
They wasn't in our little room, right? But that's
No.
okay. But you walk into the card area of that show, and you're like, okay. Okay. I just stood there and just held my phone up and took a picture of the facility, sending it to people going, this is insane. Great turnout. But that show always has a great turnout. And it goes to show you, a lot of people are like, well, the card market's dying. No, it's not dying. That right there showed you it's not dying off. It has its ups and downs like any, anything, even the comics. But as far as that Dallas card show, that guy puts on a great show. There's another one coming up, I think, in a couple of weeks or so. I don't know the exact dates, but, he's going to have another one coming up. So he always does well.
Yeah. Well, Gabe, now that we have Chris on the on here with us, won't you introduce some of his books so some of our viewers may not know who Chris Hayes is and about Four Leaf Comics?
He wrote the
Now,
he was
correct us if we say this wrong, but I know Gabe's gonna mention the books that you're a part of. You wrote, I believe, and things like that.
so Churchill Manor is one of them.
Yep.
Which then there's Don't Pay the Ferryman,
Which I loved. I loved it. It was really good.
Field of Fear,
Yep.
and then The Forgotten Isle.
Mm-hmm.
And then a newer one is The Mortician, you're the writer.
Yeah, The Mortician. We'll have that book in hand next week. So the Kickstarter just ended on that one, and I'm pretty excited. That one just kind of came out of the inspiration on that where, I think, Marty, you got the digital copy already, so you read that. But that inspiration was, my parents. So kind of modeled that one after them a little bit. And they're really not like that.
That's not good.
Yeah, no,
That's not good.
So, kind of modeled that after them a little bit, but and my mom loved it. So David Sanchez did the main cover, and he made them a little creepy look and put them on the cover. And then of course Ken Salinas did a cover, and then William Russell, who we're all friends with, did the third cover of the book. And then I was pretty happy that Scorpion Comics picked up the book as well.
I don't mean to be mean, but you got some creepy parents.
A little bit, yeah. And the great thing is, we're going to do a store signing coming up when the book's in hand. So the book's already at the printer. So I'll have all the books next week in hand. Everything got delayed because of the snow and everything shipping to Texas. I will have all the books next week. Kickstarter packages start getting shipped out. Marty, in your Kickstarter package, I'm going to throw in the High Republic to you as well, so you get that copy. So you'll get that in there. But
I appreciate it.
We're going to do a store signing. William's coming in. I'll have Ken here. I'll have McLean here who worked on it, myself, and then, of course, my mom and stepdad want to come in and sign as well. I was like, are you serious? My mom goes, well, we're the star of the book. Yeah, I want to set up.
Absolutely.
So she's going to set up with like a little ashtray and a cross. I'm like, okay.
It's amazing. It's amazing because you got David Sanchez on the book, and he kind of started out with you with Don't Pay the Ferryman, and that cover was a huge cover, and then you have, of course, having for this book, and he's getting more wanted, more popular now. I mean, he did the Power Rangers cover, and I believe he's got some more stuff in the pipeline.
Well, you got William Russell, who just now got a new cover with it's a Vampirella cover, I believe.
Vampirella, yeah, he just launched his Vampirella. So
Image, is that correct?
Yeah, Image and David, David,
Dynamite or Image?
I'm sorry,
Image. Was it Dynamite?
Vampirella's Dynamite.
Right.
Yeah,
and
yeah. So David, his first ever comic cover was the Don't Pay the Ferryman. And wait a minute, I take that back. I'm so sorry. David actually did a cover for me on The Forgotten Isle. He did he did issue 4 for me, and it was an homage to Walking Dead 100 that had Rick from Walking Dead standing over all the dead zombie bodies. And what Robert Kirkman and them did, they placed all themselves on the cover, that they were zombies laying in the pile and all their faces. So David took me and McLean, everybody that worked on the book, we're all skulls on the book. So we got the boat captain holding a knife standing on top of all of our skulls. And he made our faces kind of a little creepy looking on there. So that was his first ever comic cover. I've got the original of that hanging up in my office. And yeah, David's just taken off. He just did a Something is Killing the Children exclusive for us here at the store. We sold out of that book in about 15 minutes online. We partnered up with Frankie's Comics on that. Gorgeous cover. But yeah, David is sorry about that. I'm here in the store. So David is he's really taken off as an artist. So yeah, William Russell's done some covers for me as well on some of my books. He did a couple of Ferryman book covers. What else did he? He did Fields.
He was on the
Fear.
He was on the Field of Fear, wasn't he?
Yep, he did Fields of Fear, and he did a Mortician cover as well.
Right.
For me. So yeah, I these guys, love these guys to death. They love drawing horror stuff, and that's what I like writing. So they, when you ask them, hey, I want to bring you onto a cover, they jump all over it.
Well, I noticed since we interviewed you at Cowtown Comic Con, several of our subscribers have already jumped on, because I seen some of them messaging William Russell last night, and I seen them messaging on some of your Facebook or your social media already. But for the viewers that aren't, subscribed to y'all's social media and stuff like that are not following you, because I really think independent comics are really taking over. Mm-hmm. And, so we love to promote indies. We think, owners like yourself and creators like yourself, they're not getting they don't get the attention that some of the diamond distribution, things like that get. But man, there's so many good stories. I mean, like, Don't Pay the Ferryman was a really, really good story. And the Mortician's a really cool story. Let's talk a little bit about, if you don't mind, let's talk a little bit about some of the things that you've done. Even if you want to talk about some of the other books, or if you want to talk about the Mortician, definitely that, because that's your newest book coming out. So yeah, I'll let you talk on that.
Yeah, I started writing, I'll say about 2 years ago. Always had the idea in my head, just never did it. Right? We all sat around and we're like, okay, boy, I like this idea. Eventually I'm going to get to this. Eventually I'm going to get to this. I'm going to do it. And then every one of us do that. There's always something in your head, but you never stick with it. Or, then you get a lot older and then you regret not ever pulling the trigger and doing something. So with me, it was like, boy, I'd like to write horror stuff. Kind of grew up on it. My mom, she's always a big Stephen King fan. Kind of grew up reading some of his stuff. Always liked the creepy stuff, the thriller stuff. I enjoy that. I'm sorry, I'm not your love story guy, so I'm not going to watch that or read that stuff. So not going to happen. So finally, my mom and everybody was like, man, I got this idea. And they're like, well, why don't you just do it? Why don't you sit down and write it? And I was like, okay. So I sat down and boom, put out issue 1 of The Forgotten Isle. Didn't know, I owned a comic book store, knew nothing about publishing a comic. Started talking, I met McGuire, and who's a huge asset in this industry. And he started teaching me how to do things, how to start self-publishing, how to letter a book. He does all my lettering, all my graphic design on every one of my projects. McLean is my guy. He's my project manager on every one of my books. We work together. You guys know him. He owns CCP Comics. And from there, it just kind of took off. So, I got Alan Quall. I wanted, a name to come out on my very first book. And he drew this creepy tree. It's what I wanted. Had some clothes floating from the tree. It's kind of bloody clothes. And I loved it. That's what I wanted. He killed it. And wound up going out to Santa Fe Comic Con. Took about 75 books with me, sold out. All I had was one book. I had a whole table.
So you're telling me you've got five books. You've been doing this for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And this is your 5th book out?
9th.
Well, I mean, your 5th series.
Series, yes.
5th
yeah,
series.
9 books. because you got to count
Ninth book. Yeah, you got to count Forgotten Isles four or five, isn't it?
Yeah, Forgotten Isle was 4 issues.
So do you have any ongoing issues?
No, I'm not that guy. You know, I had fun with the Forgotten Isle, and I finished it in 4 issues, and I was done. I'm the guy like, you know, Rob. So I like the anthologies. I like the short story. That way I can get in, write it, I tell the story, and I'm done, and then I move on. Now, a lot of my books I leave open at the end. Not to say I can't ever go back and add to it. And I'll be honest, the Ferryman, and a lot of people already know it. I've got another Ferryman book coming. It's called Ferryman Origins. So it's the beginning of how the guy became the ferryman. So I'm gonna you know, keep rolling on the ferryman story. And a lot of people have asked me, "Oh, you'd end it. I wish it was longer than two issues." But to me, 2 issues was perfect for that book. That's where I wanted it to end. That's how I'm done with it.
When I first seen that, I'm talking about Don't Pay the Ferryman. When I first seen the cover that David Sanchez did, you know, all I could think about was Clash of the Titans.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a cool figure. You know, the ferryman is such a cool figure. But
yeah, and nobody's done anything on it. And, you know, that idea, I was sitting at the table in the kitchen, had my laptop up, and I was sitting there. Something was said. And with me, it's literally something. It could be a sign on the road that I'm driving by, and the idea will pop in my head for a book. And that's how my mind kind of works. When I'm writing, I'm picturing it as a movie. So, you know, Forgotten Isle was the first one, and I had that idea for a few years on. I think it'd be neat to see, you know, the story. You got 4 guys go off on their bucket list deep sea fishing trip. They meet this creepy boat captain. The boat captain tells them about this story about this creepy island that used to be haunted. Of course, the guys want to go see the island. They're guys. They don't, you know, they could care less about fishing anymore. So the end of issue 1, the boat captain leaves them, you know, and then their story for survival begins right there. And it gets a little creepier as it goes on. So I finished it on issue 4. I could have extended, but issue 4 kind of ended with a bang. I loved it. I got good reviews on it. I was happy. Loved it. Now I'm done with it. One thing you'll notice in my books, and a lot of people that had never read The Forgotten Isle, there's this amulet that's in the book. It's on the main cover. That amulet shows up in every one of my books. It's an Easter egg. If you start looking, it was in the Ferryman. There's a panel in the Ferryman where the amulet sits. There's a panel in the Mortician where the amulet is. In the Mortician, a lot of people don't know it. There's a Ferryman coin sitting there. I will tie every one of my books back to each other somehow. That's just something I like to do. I like throwing those little Easter eggs in there. So, you know, my next project I'm working on right now, I've already finished issue 1. It's going to be a 2-issue book. It's called The Detour. I'll tell you, inspiration. I was out working, driving down this little dirt road out in the middle of nowhere. And all of a sudden, I'm just driving down the road, and there's this big sign. Shouldn't even been there, but this big sign, brand new sign, said freshly picked fruit with an arrow pointing down this creepy looking road. And I go drive by, and I'm like, boy, if that don't scream serial killer, I don't know what does. And boom, right then, I was like, oh my word. I pull over, I'm thinking, I pick up the phone, I call McLean, got a story idea. He goes, what? So I'm gonna call it The Detour. He goes, what's it about? Cannibalistic family. He goes, let's do it. And I went home, started taking notes. About 4 days later, issue 1 was written.
Wow.
So it's a little out there, but yeah, it's going to be, it's coming up after the Mortician. They're about to start drawing the interiors on it, and I'll have that out, those 2 issues out, and then I'll finish the year out with Ferryman Origins, and then I'll have a pretty successful year on books coming out. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. Don't do it to make money. As you guys know, you guys do comic stuff as well. No, I do it for fun. It's a passion. I enjoy writing and getting books out. And, you know, I do my Kickstarters. Kickstarters are great. I love them to death. You know, all the artists that we use and interior artists and printing and all that costs. So the Kickstarters, that's what they're for. They kind of help fund the project. So each Kickstarter kind of helps fund the next project. So I'm never going to be, I always say that I don't look at myself like I'll ever be the next Donnie Cates, you know, one of James Tinian or one of these guys out there, but you never know. You may get a call one day. Who knows? But
Yeah.
you can never say never. But that's not why I got into writing. Is that I want to make that my full-time job. I do it. It's a hobby. It's a passion. I love it. I like coming up with the creepy stories and the little weird ideas, and that's just kind of how my mind works.
So did you watch, I got to say this, did you watch Lock and Key?
No, I haven't watched that one yet. I started watching Lock and Key, and I think I got to the part on episode 1 to where I think it was the girl looking down the well, and the voices started coming up from the well, and then I had a work call, and I had to stop, and I've never gone back and watched it.
You got to watch it. If you like Stephen King, it's his son wrote the book, wrote the series. It's a really good series. You ought to definitely watch it.
Yeah, and I like that. You're talking about, Joe Hill.
So, Joe Hill. That's right.
Yeah, some of his books here are creepy, man. I like some of the stuff that he's putting out. And DC puts out, they haven't in a while. They had Dollhouse Family that he was doing, which was really good. That kind of stopped, it's over. But, and then they haven't put out another horror book for a while. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a genre that people like, that you're just not seeing a whole lot of. Around Halloween time, all of a sudden there's an influx of horror books that come out, or reprints of horror books from the past. Then they go away. And I'm like, well, what happened? Because there's a lot of people that love horror books. And
there's a lot of horror cons.
There is.
There's a lot of horror cons. I know Nashville, Tennessee has a horror con.
Yep.
A couple of Texas ones have.
Yeah, Fright
Fest.
Frightmare Fest, that's coming up here, I think, the end of March. It'll be here it's always over here at the Hilton Anatole at DFW Airport.
Are they having it this year?
Yeah, it's, as far as I know, it's still on. That I saw about a week ago. It was still going on. But that's a good one to go to. I would love to have a table there, but I mean, the minute the show ends, the table's going to sell for next year. I can't ever get in and get a table. They go so fast.
Why don't you go to the show and and talk to the person right then and say, look, I want in.
Yeah. I've never been to that show. I hear, 1 year I wanted to go, but they did it the same year that they had Fan Expo. And then here being, at the store, we set up a big booth at Fan Expo every year. Right. You're there, big 3-day show. You got to be at Fan Expo. So, yep. And then last year, everything was canceled. So we didn't get to go to the show last year. So this year, it's going to be in March. So I'm actually going to go and attend the show and walk around. But,
we're trying to get in Fan Expo. We'd love to get in Fan Expo in Dallas.
Yeah, I think you still can. I mean, it's funny. Our booth for a year and a half now has been, what was it? No, last year it was going to be in March. And because of COVID, it got pushed to June, and then they canceled that one. So they're like, okay, your table's still good from June. Okay, well, then they made it March again for this year. Oh, well, sorry, now it got pushed again to October. So I keep checking in with them going, hey, is our table good? And they're like, oh, yeah, you're good. You're still down on the list. You've already paid. So we crossing fingers, in October it happens. I think it will. I think we're fine now. Everybody's going to have to wear masks, but we'll all be good. So,
well, I hope you don't mind. I did share the digital copy to the crew here at Gabe's Cave. We all read it. I know Chris, Uncle Nasty, as everybody knows, he definitely wanted to be here, but he couldn't. He had to help somebody else out today. One of his anyway, a friend of his is sick, and he had to help them out. And I know Brandon read it, and Gabe read it. Gabe, I think he was the first one to read it. He read it immediately. I couldn't believe it. And
Darren jumped in the call and was like, "Hey, Dad sent you an email. Go look at that." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "Am I supposed to be reading this?" He's like, "Yes."
And he did. So last night, or night before last, I guess it was the night before last, I said, "Did you read that comic?" He said, "I did." And so I got up yesterday morning and I read it yesterday morning. And I can tell you some things that I like about it. What's some things that y'all like? What did you like about it? And hang on a second, do you mind us? I better ask him.
No, I love it.
Well, I'm talking about, we don't want to ruin it for people, so we don't want to ruin it.
No,
Yes.
you know what? I think everybody that supported the Kickstarter, all digital copies went out yesterday.
Okay. All right.
You know,
Favorite-
Scorpion Comics, they did an exclusive cover. They picked it up and did an exclusive cover. Well, they're already shipping the books. We just got delayed because of the weather, or else
Gotcha.
the books you would already have your package in hand if the weather did not delay the shipment. So we're just kind of waiting for everything to come in right now from Arizona. But as you know, everything's delayed. I mean, and real quick, it's just like our books here for new comic book release, books, for the store, we still haven't got this week. So I'm sitting here. I just saw a UPS truck drive by, and I'm like, "Hey, we're right here." But they may show up tonight. I don't know. I'm gonna hang out here a little bit longer. Talk to you guys and see if UPS shows up. If not, they'll show up tomorrow. So I'm hoping. But you know what? I want to hear what you liked about it and what you didn't like about it, because I like the critique, because there are things about the books that people like and don't like. And as a creator, I want to hear both, because you don't get better by always hearing the good. You get better by hearing the bad and improving on it. And that's what I like.
Favorite two panels are the ashtray at the end and when the sun brought the body in the trunk of the car and it showed the covered up body, like on the bloody cloth and crap that was covering him, like showing the trunk of the car, just because of how much detail was in those two panels. Were my two favorite panels in the entire book. You didn't have to say anything. You looked at it, you knew what was happening, you knew what it was just from the detail alone. Those were amazing.
And for us, we do read comics, and so for us, some of the on the critiquing part of it, and I'm not going to talk about it because I like the story. I thought the story was great. Growing up in the Bible Belt, definitely, it's 100%, because I grew up in Texas and we're still in the Bible Belt here in Arkansas. I thought it was a great story. Some of the art, I would say some of the panels was, what did you say? Didn't have
the backgrounds were lacking in detail.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I thought the book
everything's
was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really did.
We used the new interior artist. He does really good work. His name's Jeff Muth. So, it was his first book to work on with us, and we really liked it. And yeah, we pointed out a couple things before. I like the direction that he did with the artwork in it. He made it old because it's set in the 60s. So
right.
You're right. There was a couple things on the detail. Yeah, that we actually had to go back and change a couple of deals on it. And then our colorist is Matt Chambers, who's colored all my books and done an amazing job on them.
See, I don't know him. I didn't know either. So I'm actually we have those written down, Jeff and Matt.
Yeah.
And I don't know Jeff, and I didn't know Matt. But after you saying that he colored your other books, now I recognize the name.
Yeah. Well, okay. So you read The Ferryman, and you remember how bright the Ferryman colors
yes.
were.
Yes.
When McLean takes it on, he's telling Matt, "Hey, I want the bright colors, to really come to fruition there on the Ferryman." And then with Mortician, he's like, "Okay, we want to kind of make it an old, sketchy art style, right? 60s style. We don't want super clear." I can go, and it gets me sometimes because I trust me, I nitpick art, and I'm not an artist, but being here in the store as much as I am, and there are actually books that I've grabbed that look interesting that I want to read, and I'll open it and I'll be like, "Oh, that works crap. I'll just shut it and put it back." And these are Marvel books, and I'm like, you couldn't get a better interior artist than that. It looks like me would just take and draw some stick figures, but
that's me and Brandon. That's me and Brandon. That's what we
crazy.
think.
I've literally heard of really good stories, but because of the artwork on them, it's thrown me off. So on this book, Jeff kind of did exactly what we asked. We're like, okay, there are some panels where you see a lot of detail. And then we're like, all right, tone it down a little. Let's bring it back to like an old 60s style, where you would just think you would have, there's not a lot of detail in some of the panels, but it's just kind of brushstroked real quick. But it's got that sketchy feeling that I wanted.
You're right.
And then there's some to where we're like, okay, on that panel, add a lot of detail. Just like you said, on the trunk, the trunk's open. It's covered. Got a little blood on it. we're like, hey, show that'll just show the reader, oh, well, that's somebody in there or an animal.
I think there's there's a gas can in the back of the car too, maybe, or something else in there. Yeah.
What's good about panels like this, and this, he's still a young reader on when it comes to some of the comics. When we see something lack of detail, that means that there's more writing in there. When you got more writing in,
it's wanting you to pull attention towards the writing and towards the characters, not the backgrounds, not the panel itself.
But when you have a good panel, like that,
it
like
tells its own story,
right? And as you notice, it didn't have no words on it. So I do understand that. I know he brought that to my attention, but I wanted you to explain that. I think that's great, especially coming from the creator.
Right, and in every book, like we're all, we're new. I'm by no means a professional at this, right? So my writing, and I know I'm getting better. I still think, and I don't know if you read Fields of Fear. I love my Ferryman books, but Fields of Fear, I told that from a different perspective when I wrote it, and to this day, I still love that one as one of my favorites that I wrote, because I don't know if you read it. I'll send you guys a digital of it here when we get off real quick, and just email it over to you, and y'all can read it and tell me what you think. I used a different, interior artist on that one named Fred. That one book was set in the 60s. Something about me in that 60s timeline. I wasn't even born there. But when it goes back to the Ferryman, look at the panels. There's so much detail on all those panels. The cave work and everything. If you go back and look, there's the water dripping in the cave. I wanted it kind of Goonie-esque style when they're going through the cave to find these secret coins. If you go back and look, Gabe, real quick on the Mortician, did you notice something in the ashtray at the end of the story? That goes back to the Forgotten Isle. So, I'm not going to tell everybody on there watching, but yeah, that's just one of those little Easter eggs that are thrown in there.
That's in a couple of places in that book.
It's in the Ferryman when they're going in the cave. So if you read the Ferryman and they find the coins, well, hanging around the goblet of coins is the amulet just hanging down. Not a lot of people know. So even customers that come in are like, oh my God, I read it. Loved issue 1. The way you left it, you make me so mad. I love leaving cliffhangers on these books where I do more than one issue. Because for one, it makes your mind going. You're like, okay, where's issue 2? I need to see issue 2. So on the Ferryman, it was like that. It ended. He's coming up. The boys are standing on the beach. Here comes the Ferryman. It's done. And you're like, wait, there's no more pages to turn. What the heck? That's how you end it. You leave it on a cliff, like a TV show.
Absolutely.
That way they're tuning in for the next one. So, but I had people coming in, and I'm like, and just good customers that have picked up all my books, and I'm like, what'd you think when they found the coins? Oh my God, I loved it. Did you see anything about the coins? No? No Easter eggs or anything? And one lady is like, oh yeah, I loved how the amulet was hanging there. I'm like, oh, you picked it up. Okay, good. The Detour, and I'll tell you, it's not going to be a secret. It's going to be a little cheesy in the writing, because I'm making it's an 80s slasher book. So I love the 80 horror movies. They were cheesy.
Hang on. A slasher book? I thought we was talking about cannibalism.
Well, that's in there too. Yeah, it's all woven together. Okay. So yeah, it's out there. I mean, I've literally been told by McLean that I need therapy. After he read The Mortician, I sent him the rough draft. See, there goes UPS. I sent him the rough draft, and he literally was like, he called me and he goes, do you need therapy? And I go, no, why? He's like, dude, we need to talk. And I go, what? And he goes, I don't know what to say. That poor guy. Like that. And I was like, well, that's what I want.
Keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
There it is. Yeah. I mean, I have access to an incinerator. That's the way I put it. I mean, so,
well, you got friends that are in the, the funeral business. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
We got all this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I got friends who say, Gabe's over there going, we need to end this right now.
Brandon and I and one other guy wrote our first book, the Office Place.
Right.
And, it's pretty cool. We really got about 3 more books that we're wanting to write with, 3 more issues of that book. And so it's something that we're planning on sitting down in the next, couple of weeks, hopefully at this show where we'll have more time. And we're going to start penciling it all out, because I really think I've got about 3 more issues to that first book. So reason I'm saying that is because let's say like Don't Pay the Ferryman. When you left it at the end where you could come back down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you leave it like that for like just in case a company wants to come in and pick that up for a movie and they could carry it further?
Sometimes I'm also thinking, and I did that with Forgotten Isle,
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I'm also thinking, okay, like the Ferryman, I'm like, okay, it's ended, but has it? So Fields of Fear, it was a one-shot book.
Right.
That is kind of left open to make you think. Sometimes I like the reader to think, okay, what happened? Did that really happen to him? Well, wait a minute, maybe that didn't happen to him. So there's a couple of books like Fields of Fear I want to put the reader in and make them think a little bit.
What about Churchill Manor? I never even knew about it.
I co-wrote that with my son. It was his whole idea with Cole, and that was his idea. He created it. I just helped him write it. I helped him put, pen to paper on that one. He's 22 years old. He's a big conspiracy theorist guy, and he's into puzzle stuff and mind games. I mean, that's him. Freaks me out sometimes. But he came up with this idea, and he's like, hey, I want to write a book. I'm like, let's go. What do you want to do? Because I got this idea. I said, okay. He goes, he said it in like 1970s England. And there's this house. There's this family that every year on Halloween, they hold a party, Halloween party. Well, the Halloween party is a scavenger hunt that makes you want to find out the secrets of the manor. And that's how I'll leave it. He puts the reader in the story with the riddles.
So let me ask you a couple more questions before we go.
Yeah.
And all right. So everybody involved in this book, I tried to write them all down. I want to make sure that I mention their names. On the Mortician, David Sanchez, William Russell, and Ken Salinas did covers. All three covers are amazing that I've seen. The art was from Jeff. How you pronounce his last name? Mute. Okay. And then the colors was Matt Chambers. Yep. And the letter and design is McClay McGuire, who did ours. I mean, he does a phenomenal job at a lot of things. He's got more titles than I've ever seen anybody. He can do it all. And your editors were you and McLean and Marty McGuire, and then your wife, Kim. Right? She was something. She was like the.
She helped with some collaboration on a couple of ideas in there. So
she kept you straight. Like, just hey, be honest. She's the boss. And we're like, she is the boss. Tell the truth.
No, sure. Yeah. she'll see this. So yeah.
That's good. Well, we didn't even thank our sponsors today, did we? Well, I tell you what, we have giveaways. We always give away stuff, right?
Yeah.
Dan Walls was our artist from last week.
There you go.
And I don't know if you could see this. I know you can't see them. I don't think you can. But I'll tell you what, like, can you see that?
I did see those. You posted those, didn't you? On
okay, yeah. Allison did. Mm-hmm. Well, everybody who's seen them there, I mean, we can look at all these. And which was your favorite again?
Mine?
Yeah.
Throg.
Throg, right there?
Throg.
I'll tell you what my favorite one was.
Fear Venom.
Yeah, it's probably, Fear. Yeah, it's him. Poison Ivy, I knew that. He's a big Poison Ivy fan. That's my favorite one right there. Anyway, well, why don't you find us a winner? Well, let's do 6.
Okay.
Let's give winners 6 winners. So
6
here
winners
are the
loot
top
box.
6 winners, and our loot box goes where? Right there. Yeah. There you go. Anyway, well, Chris, I know you got guests coming and you got people coming. We really appreciate you being on the show today. And man, just keep in touch. I know we got to meet the artist. We got a new artist for this week, and so you want to do it?
Yeah.
Do I? All right. Well, there we go. We're going to meet our new artist. Well, who is our new artist today? Well, who is our new artist?
Chris Colyer.
Oh, let's meet our new artist.
All right. And today we have Chris Colyer on. We are going to ask him some random questions today, as I'm sure you've noticed. I'm sure you've been watching. Chris, how are you doing today?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good, good. Are you ready to answer some random questions?
I think so.
They're not actually that random, but we're doing this season. I've been saying this a lot, but we're doing this season so we can make sure that people have some faces to some names, because I've talked to you before several times, and we've mailed you stuff, but I didn't. I've never talked to you in person, never talked to you on the phone or anything. So it's good for me, and I'm sure it's good for some of the viewers, the cave dwellers out there, and even some new people that are coming in there may know your work. That it's good to see them, good for them to see you as well. So,
Right.
We'll start off. The first question here is: do you ever talk to yourself? And when you do you answer yourself? And what do you say?
Yeah, I would say I do talk to myself. Do I answer myself? I guess so. I like to plan out conversations that I'm going to have, and so I'll do both sides of the conversation. And so it's basically that's usually what I'm doing, is trying to plan out a conversation, and then usually the way the conversation goes is nothing like I planned.
No. Did you try to plan this conversation out first?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know that you can plan out a real interview conversation.
No.
Especially if I don't know if you watched any of our interviews from the con we did a little while back, but those are just random questions. So yeah, those are more fun that way.
Yeah.
So the next question here is, what medium do you like using?
So most of mine is ink and then markers. Sometimes I'll use colored pencils as well. But as time goes on, I'm moving to more and more like a cleaner style with just ink and markers. I think the cards that I've done for this set, they do have the ink marker and then colored pencil on top.
Mm-hmm. Which kind of markers do you use?
They're actually just no-name Amazon brand, but they're similar to a Copic or alcohol marker.
Okay, so they're like an alcohol marker, but they're just You more of a work on your art and work on yourself versus trying to have a fancier marker, and because it doesn't necessarily do the job for you. But with that being said, though, I'm not knocking on Copics by any means. I'm just, I like to ask this question just for the fact of if there's anybody new out there that might, be wanting to getting into it or want to get into it, and they don't know, all they've ever heard is Copics. Like me, I didn't know what an alcohol marker was. I just knew Copics. And, as I asked more artists, they're like, well, you don't have to have Copics. You can use cheaper Amazon markers or eBay markers or whatever you want to call it. And and do the same. You could do the same job. It's just, not as pricey.
Yeah, exactly. And there's I can see there's benefits to the Copics. Copics have a brush tip on the end, which is nicer in some cases. You can do varying sized lines with it. Mm-hmm. But then, just like you're saying, switching it up, using a little bit cheaper medium doesn't necessarily mean the results have to be not as good.
It's not worse. So, yeah, it's not worse by any means. It just means you you value putting your money or time into other things.
Right.
Which is understandable. So, we'll go to my next question before I actually start doing this. How old were you when you first started drawing?
So I've drawn pretty much all the time. It's been something that I've always enjoyed doing, but I never really took it seriously. When I was going to do college, which was years ago, I was deciding whether I wanted to do 3D animation or computer programming. I didn't want to take art history, so I ended up in computers. And really taking it seriously, 2019 Father's Day, I got a sketchbook and some markers, and I decided I was going to draw every single day. And so really all of this, doing my art, opening an Etsy store, becoming an official Tops artist, has all started from last year, Father's Day.
So I guess you would be technically the new guy,
Yeah.
but not really the new guy. I don't know. I wouldn't consider the artwork the new guy by any means. I wouldn't know. I mean, I look at this and I'm like, well, he's been doing this his whole life. I wouldn't expect this to be, a year and a half or a year or whatever it is, year and a half old. I wouldn't expect that. So you fooled me.
So like, if you look through my Instagram, you can see the sort of progression, because I was also aware of, I wanted to track the progress, the journey. And so I've posted every day, basically, and every piece that I do. But one of the things that I would say is, if you really want to do art, you don't have to do finished pieces. Just make sure you do something regularly. 20
Right.
minutes, 10 minutes a day.
Right. Be it practicing some hands or
Right.
whatever it is, just make sure you do it as regular as possible, and then eventually
Right.
you can put it all together. Just you don't necessarily have to do everything at one time.
Exactly.
Right. And that's cool to see the progress that you've done in a year and a half. Like I said, I didn't know that that's how long you've been doing that. I mean, number one, I'm not going to go on somebody's Instagram and creep back 3 years.
Yeah.
So first off, I'm not going to do that, but I've never talked to you about it either. So I didn't know. That's cool. So we'll go ahead and go on to a first card here, which is Rogue from X-Men. And that's a fantastic, I think that's Rogue, right? Did I say that wrong? Is that Rogue?
Yes, Rogue.
Okay, all right. Nobody said anything, so I was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna act like I know what I'm saying today. Fantastic Rogue, and I think some of my favorite things are not even necessarily they're great. It's great artwork. Don't get me wrong, but I like it when people do backgrounds. Like you did this one a little different, and then like this next one here is Yoda. That's a fantastic Yoda.
Right.
Fantastic Yoda. But these are the ones I'm referring to, like the ones that you've done your own little style of background.
Right.
It's like I don't know. It's just so cool to me when people
Thanks.
have like their thing. Like I know Rob Broussard is one.
The border on Terminator.
Right. They're all like that. But Rob Broussard is one where he does his own. He's got his own little. It's like a portrait background that he does for all his art, but he's like a more of a comic style. So,
Right.
I've always found that really cool whenever you do something like that.
Yeah, something that makes you stand out, that people look at it and they can identify it as, oh, Robert did this, Chris did that. I think those are always really fun, especially for fans of the artist.
For sure. Yeah, and digging through a stack, you just pick that up. You don't even have to look at the back and say, oh, that's Chris. No, like you pick it up and you see something like that and you're like, oh, I know that's his art style. So
right.
I really like that. That's cool. We have ourselves next here. We have a Terminator, Arnold. Really cool piece there.
Yeah.
We got a Khaleesi from Game of Thrones, and that's Emilia Clarke, right? Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a Michael J. Fox, Marty McFly from Back to the Future. And you said like some of these were like, I can tell the markers in the background, and then like her shirt here on Khaleesi's shirt, it looks like you said colored pencil. And then
Yes.
possibly his jacket and stuff like that is colored pencil as well, and his hair.
Yeah. In the many of the faces, what I will have done is done the marker. Basically, the alcohol marker seeps into the page, and it sort
Like
of
stains the thing that color,
stains
and you
it,
can do
yeah.
detail on top, right?
right. And then when you do colored pencil, often because there's a grain to the paper, if you don't stain that color in, it'll go white. What you see through your, say, red is a white color. So often what I'll do is I'll put like a pink down. And so when I put the red over it, if something's showing through, it's not white and red, it's pink and red. It gives me the ability to do some highlights.
Right, highlights and stuff like that. Like in his hair and Marty McFly's hair, you can see some white highlights there, so you can. Right, and I know, and then that's always been cool to me, like the colored pencil, the grain, so like it's got some texture to his hair, and it's not just a flat color, which is okay in some cases. You have like comics and whatnot that need to be like that, but then just different style, different artists pick up those different techniques, which is really cool. Ourselves Thanos here, the purple dude.
Yeah. The purple is always interesting because it's you learn how to do the skin tones, and then you've got completely different color set. So how do you do that?
Right. We have a Princess Leia, which is from what looks to be Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
I think that's Empire.
Yeah. That one was that's a really interesting one, because that one I've done that reference several times, and even I posted it 6 months difference to go back to the discussion about our how long I've been doing it. You can see the progression definitely in that piece, because I keep coming back to that reference and redrawing that similar image.
So this exact one, this reference photo right here.
Yes.
Cool. I'll have to go check that out. So we have ourselves a Spengler from Ghostbusters, which is awesome. Fantastic piece here. Have a Jack Sparrow from Pirates of the Caribbean. Love those movies. That's a fantastic piece there. I do have a question for you, kind of a random question here. So when you watch the movie, what is it called? Pirates of the what?
Caribbean.
When you go to the place, what do you call it?
The Caribbean.
Right. Just making sure I wasn't the only one that pronounced it wrong and then went to the right place.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Should they both be Caribbean?
I would assume so, yeah. Pirates of the Caribbean. But that doesn't sound right? I mean,
no.
When you watch it, it's like Pirates of the Caribbean sounds better.
Yeah.
To me. I mean, I went there last year and I was like, I turned the TV on when it was one day one night we were at the hotel, and it was like, I think that was actually on, and I was like, yo, I'm watching Pirates of the Caribbean in the Caribbean.
Nice.
So, just make sure I wasn't the only one.
Yeah.
We have a Russell Crowe's Maximus from Gladiator. That's not one I've seen yet, and I was extremely excited whenever I saw that the first time. That's actually like Marty's favorite movie. Just so everybody knows, I think that is his all-time favorite movie. So that is.
Yeah, I was trying to key into some of the discussions you had while I was drawing them. Like, how do I pick references? Because you guys conveniently leave it wide open.
Right. Yeah, you just pick some of your favorite movies. I don't know, some of everybody's favorite movies. I don't know. Yeah. And I think this is Swamp Thing, right?
Yes.
All right, so we have ourselves a Swamp Thing here, and I did not get to watch these series, and I'm not the world's biggest comic person. Everybody knows that, kind of. But I do know who it is. We've got a Freddy Krueger, Knife Fingers. Fantastic piece here. We have a... I didn't watch the show, but I'm trying to... Chris... Who is it? Negan? Yeah, sorry. Yeah. He loves the show. Every time I get something wrong, he's like, that's not the right name. So, from The Walking Dead, we have ourselves a Green Hornet fantastic looking Green Hornet. I love that one. And it matches our Green Hornet memorabilia up here on my left. And we have ourselves a penguin, right?
Is it penguin?
Is it penguin?
Yes. Yep.
Penguin, yeah. Had to question your own cards for a second there, didn't you?
I couldn't see them when you laid them down that way. So.
Right. Fantastic set of cards here, man.
Thank you.
I'm gonna have to go back and look and see, because if I guess if you can do it in a year and a half, I don't know why I couldn't, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So
you got to put the effort in, but
right.
you can definitely get there.
All right, so I have a couple more questions here for you before we wrap things up. Have you ever created a character modeled after yourself?
Not modeled after myself, no.
Not at all? Never drawn yourself as like a superhero or anything?
No, actually, one of the things that I was hoping to do when I first got into drawing, I have this picture of doing, the Marvel movies. They always have those movie posters with the heads of the different characters. I wanted to do something like that with my kids as the superheroes. That's sort of the closest thing. I haven't, even after I've built my skills, I haven't gone back to that sort of overall goal project, but that's really was the plan, the catalyst for doing this art and trying to pick up the skills.
The end goal?
Yes.
I think that would certainly be awesome. I think that would be a cool thing to do. I would like to see that. So always be something cool, You can draw me as, I don't know, Captain America or something. Completely not the body type for it, but hey, you know what? It's all right. Okay, yeah. Next question here is, tell us about your cards and what inspired you to create them. So, what inspired you to create the cards that you sent in for Gabe's Cave?
Like I said, I sort of was following along with the videos that you guys put out, trying to key off of things that you guys enjoyed. That's definitely where the Green Hornet came from. And then, well, as you said, my favorite movies, Back to the Future, Ghostbusters, they all come into play as well. With these are the things that I enjoy, the characters that I enjoy from these movies, and what they all end up being everybody's favorites in the end.
Right. And as an artist, do you collect cards as well, or collect stuff like this as well?
I have a small collection of different things. I've got my favorite comic book artists and stuff. My personal favorite is Scotty Young and his sort of comic cartoony style. So I've got a couple of his stuff, but I don't have it anywhere near the collection that you guys got.
Not you. It's him and Marty that have it. I have a small little section in my own room at home, but not nothing huge like this. I guess this is all of ours, but theirs, I don't know. So who would win in a fight between Superman and the Hulk?
In the Hulk?
Yes.
Yeah, the Hulk.
The Hulk would beat Superman?
Yeah. And you know what?
You said
I'm sort of biased. I'm totally a Marvel guy. So if you put Marvel versus DC, I'm gonna pick Marvel.
I like Marvel better than DC myself. I don't know that he could beat. I don't know the angrier, the real Hulk. Not this MCU Hulk. The real Hulk. The angrier he gets, the stronger he gets. So.
And the more he gets beat up, the angrier.
This new MCU Hulk, he's kind of weak sauce. But the real Hulk, I would say would win. But the new one, not so much. The real Hulk's kind of overpowered. But do you ever watch any animes like Dragon Ball or anything?
No, I watched. What's that? The Last Airbender one.
Yeah,
but...
no, that's nothing.
Yeah,
Aang is pretty weak there. I was gonna say who would win, like Goku or the Hulk, or something like that. But it's alright. You haven't seen it.
Yeah, is Goku the over 9,000 guy?
Yes. No.
Because
no, he's not. That That was Gohan, I think.
Okay.
That was his son, I think. I don't know. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Well, I do have one more question for you. What all sets have you worked on professionally? Like you said, tops. What all sets have you worked on? So people might, be on the lookout for your stuff, or if they like what they see, they can try to go out and open some packs, or even know what to look for online to find you.
So professionally, I've worked with tops only. I'm hoping to get into the Marvel Upper Deck stuff. But for tops, I've worked on the Mandalorian set, Masterwork, and Holocron at this point.
So the 3 newer ones then, right?
Yes.
Cool. All right.
Holocron was the first set that I drew on, but it'll be the 3rd set to come out based on the timing of cancellations and releases.
Right, Holocron was pushed back.
Yeah, and if you're looking for me online, social media, my Instagram is probably the place to go where you're going to see the most of my stuff. Everything else sort of funnels from there. That's at Turt99, TURT99. But if you just search my name on Facebook, Instagram, I've sort of made it so that my name will pull me up as well.
Right. And that was actually the next thing I was going to say. Plug your Instagram and your Facebook, and if you have an Etsy or anything like that, throw all that out there so people can get in touch with you, because I know a lot of people like to do commission work and everything else and don't know where or if they should ask. But you definitely should ask. If you're watching this and you want something, ask them. Even if they're not open for commissions right now, they will be at some point, hopefully.
Yeah.
Because
for sure.
I know most artists that want to do it full time can never have enough commissions, because that's how they literally make their living. So,
right. So not an artist full time, but definitely open for commissions. Available for all of that. I do have an Etsy, and I go by Turt Puzzlin on that.
Other than that, man, that's it for unless do you have anything else?
No, great work with the show. I love it.
Absolutely.
Watch it every Saturday. So
yeah, I actually, it's funny. You're one of the main ones that comment on here and regularly, pick things up here and there, and I definitely see you on here every week. So that's what I was saying earlier. It's kind of good to talk with you and put a name or a face to a name, because I do talk with you regularly on there. So other than that, man, that's about all the time we have for this episode here. So thank you for being on, and I'll say thank you for the viewers as well, because I know they enjoy this type of stuff. So it was great having you on today.
Great, thank you.
Chris, we definitely appreciate you being with us. I know it's been a little hectic this week and everything, so again, we'll see you in probably a couple of weeks.
Thank you for lending us your time.
Hey, and thanks for giving us your time, and again, thanks for what you do for the comic industry. We really appreciate it. Great books.
Yeah, thanks for what you guys do, and thanks for having me on, and I appreciate it. And I'll see you guys in a couple of weeks.
All right. Thanks a lot.